Bro, listen.
Never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
We know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
We talk about it every day.
Getting on baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
All right, there's no human being I'd rather be talking to right now than Kevin Cash. Fact.
Lie.
It's not a lie. It's true every time. It has been true ever since 2008 and continues to be true. So the topic of our meeting today is, I think something that's pretty interesting is going through baseball. It's come up a lot is when is the right time to call guys up? And we can talk about how it was for you, how it was in your era, and how it is now. But, when you have these high-profile guys, obviously getting attention and everything else, there's no science to it. But I'm blabbing away. For you, how do you look at it? When you look at a player, what are you looking for?
Well, you want them to have shown a track record of success, certainly at the highest level of AAA. That doesn't always mean it's going to transition immediately to the big leagues. I think we, as a Rays organization, have learned, the big leagues is tough. It's challenging. It's getting better. The separation, the gap between AAA to big leagues, I think you could argue is as great as it's ever been. And sometimes what we've learned is there's a benefit to getting a guy up and with the thought, hey, there's a chance he goes back down and he's better for it. I know a couple of our young players have done that. Josh Lowe comes to mind as that we gave him the opportunity, or he earned the opportunity a couple years ago, and the first month was a grind for him. Were we wrong for bringing him up? No, I think he had done enough in AAA to warrant the opportunity, and then it just didn't happen. But we didn't change our thought process of him as a player. He had to go down for a little bit more seasoning, and nothing's wrong with that. The message gets a little challenging is that you want to continue to instill confidence in the player, but you're telling him to go back down. So you got to work really hard as an organization, as a staff, big league staff and AAA staff, to express we still believe in you.
All right, it's 2 minutes in, so we have to mention Dustin Pedroia's name. It's science. So, but I'm thinking back. So I'm thinking okay, when you were around, give me an example. We and Kevin, we cite this example every single year. The Pedroia example, and struggle. It's under 200 in April, and then turns it on. And but people forget he got a little taste of it the year before. So I don't know if you have better examples in Pedroia of the evolution of how this isn't.
Well, I think let's talk Dustin Pedroia specifically. First of all, special player, right? We can all agree on that.
Did you know it? When
I didn't necessarily know it, but I think the players that were with him in spring training, and certainly his coaching staff, Tito, and the front office, they knew it. He also came up on a team that had a veteran-based group that was able to maybe overcome whatever deficiency he had for a month or so. And he had a good support system around, and allowed them to buy some time and be patient with him. And Dustin, to his credit, as we all know, had about as much supreme confidence as any player that I've been around. So that helped him. Not every situation is similar to that. Most players are not as good as Dustin Pedroia, but not every situation is. A team might say, we got to win right now. We don't have the ability to wait this thing out, and you're at the byproduct of who you're playing with in that moment. Dustin, I think, was fortunate by it. There might have been 15 other clubs that sent him down. Would it have been wrong? I don't know.
Yeah, we're talking extremes, and the extremes, and one of the things is confidence, right? You said that we knew that his confidence probably. He's a human being, so maybe it was shaking a little bit, but when you have a kid come up, you have to keep saying, hey, listen, there's a reason why you be confident, man.
Yeah, you're playing at the highest level. There's no higher level, and your bosses are ultimately telling you belong here. So, but it's tough, because when you're doing that, certainly, and you're wearing 0 for 4s, or you're not making the plays defensively, and not everything transitions immediately, it can really waver on your self-esteem and how you feel coming to the ballpark. And that's where you got to take a good staff to make sure you're supporting. But there are certain instances where it is better just to give the guy a little bit of a mental break, a little hit the reset button and send him back down. And more times than not, you see that player's better for it.
As a manager, have you evolved in that way? Because there's a lot of different elements to be manager and evolving, but that's another part of it, is that you knew what it was like as a player.
Yeah.
But you're the one who has to tell these guys this message and say it's going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think I've evolved and been more empathetic to them, and knowing that the game's tough, but realizing it's more tough now, and certainly more tough when I played. These guys are under a lot. I mean, it's one thing to get it done on the field, but now they have a young player. They got to deal with fans. They got to deal with social media.
Yeah.
They got to deal with moms and dads up wondering why they're playing, where they're hitting. There's so many pressures that you try to take into consideration that today's players have to go through. It makes sense why it's a challenge for young players to come up and hit the ground running.
You were a top prospect. Right?
Yeah,
you were.
I was. I don't know.
I have an old Baseball America book that says Kevin Cash, top 50 prospect.
Baseball America's been wrong in the past, though.
I refuse to believe that. Yeah. But for you, and you didn't have to deal with social media or all that stuff.
I mean, I got called up and had that taste of getting a couple, courtesy starts here and there.
But did you, at the time, you were like, okay, here we go?
Oh, 100%.
Really?
I was ready. When I was in AAA, I was kind of complaining, sitting there saying, I've been ready.
Yeah.
But then I quickly realized I wasn't ready. I don't know if I ever was. I mean, I had the opportunities presented, but there's no doubt it was tough for me. So it's easy for me to reflect on my own experiences, to have a little bit of compassion for the players that come up, and it doesn't come easy for them.
Another element is probably different is the amount of information. I was saying to you yesterday, I said, when Jackson Holliday gets up, boom, they know how they're pitching, right? Am I wrong about that?
No, you're dead on.
Yeah.
And the difference is when Jackson Holliday is a great player. He's going to be a great player. But the information that they have at the big league level, or we all have at the big league, it's different now. The other thing is the information at the AAA level, it's way more about that pitcher that's facing him, his own development, than necessarily executing pitches to get Jackson Holliday out. He's got to worry about commanding his fastball or his changeup or landing a breaking ball behind, that the intent is not to get him out every single time, and that's the whole sole focus. When you get here, every pitcher is trying to make a pitch to execute to get you out.
The last thing is, so obviously Skeens comes up, and everyone's like, oh my God, best pitcher. And I asked this of Zach Littell the other day. I was like, okay, give me the guy you saw. Give me the guy that you saw that okay, he's different. When you were maybe it was in college, maybe it was in minors, maybe it was young player. But there's usually some guy that you're like, okay, he's different. How is that guy the same human race that I am?
Yeah, two of them. One I was maybe wrong about, and one I was right about. J.D. Drew. I played with him in college. Saw him coming up. We were close buddies. He was different. You knew he just had all the confidence. As soon as he got the opportunity to play, he was going to go make the most of it. And you look at his career. The other guy was Felipe Lopez, who was a first rounder for us and really grinded his way. Once he got to the big leagues, it was up, down, and then had a really nice career. But watching Felipe Lopez play in the minor leagues with me, I thought he was the best middle infielder I'd ever seen, and it was a challenge for him.
Yeah, it's amazing. But that's J.D. Drew. Oh my goodness, look at you.
Different player.
By the way, I saw Florida State play the other day.
How'd they look?
They have good uniforms. Anything you want to ask me? Last chance. I don't know if I'm going to see you for a while.
What player has stood out to you as the wow?
Thank you, Kelly. That's a very good question. That's a great question. Not Pedroia. When Pedroia came up, it was like, holy mackerel, how is this kid You saw him.
Sure.
I mean, it was like he
special player.
No, he stopped eating McDonald's from 2006.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I'm trying to go back to the guys that there's some guys I'm gonna go with pitchers. I remember seeing Clay Buchholz pitch, and it was everything was so wow, his stuff just jumps right off. That's a terrible example, I think.
No, I caught Clay Buchholz coming up, and
right. So his stuff was because he had 4 different pitches, and
7. 7 different
seven
pitches.
different-
When he narrowed them down a little bit, that's when his career took off.
Unfortunately, it took a long time for him to throw it. Yeah, but position players, wow, because those were veteran teams. Like we came up. I'm trying like Ellsbury, I guess. Right?
I mean, I can think of a lot. Ellsbury, Raffy Devers, Xander Bogaerts. Those guys were pretty special players.
Yeah, but no. Ellsbury, if you mentioned those 3 guys, Ellsbury was just because of like, holy crap. That guy ran faster than a deer. Like, literally.
Yes, he did.
Right?
Yes, he did.
Anyway, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.